Hello and welcome back to Darcy's Drive. This is my second video on the channel, and today I've been very kindly lent this Kia Ceed GT Line S by the Kia press fleet, and I've got this car for a week, so I've been using it as my daily driver for the last sort of 4 or 5 days. And in this video I'm going to give it a detailed review and tell you all the little things that I've found on this car. So let's get into it. The Ceed is very easy to drive around town, especially with the automatic version which I've got here. You don't have to think about anything. The engine's extremely smooth and so is the gearbox, so you really can just focus on the road. You've got good visibility from all angles, and it warms up very quickly. It's very cold at the moment, and you've got a heated steering wheel, which is one of the best things ever. Absolutely fantastic. Heated seats in the front, and the climate control is fabulous. So it really is a good car for the winter, but it's a modern car and that's what you expect. But yeah, very easy to drive in the town. You've got 2 modes, which are normal and sport. So around town in normal mode, it's a very normal car. It changes gear at very low revs. It's got plenty of torque from the low down, so it doesn't fuss at any RPMs. It's got plenty of go, and it's a very nippy engine. When you put the car into sport mode, it becomes a little bit more lively. The steering feels a little bit more stiff and direct, and you get a little bit more out of the engine. It likes to rev out a bit more when you're in sport mode, and you get a nice nippy little car. So it's got plenty of oomph, and it's a good car for the family, but you can also give it a little bit of stick and it will overtake, etc., and go up hills like they don't exist. The Kia boasts all kinds of modern features which you'd expect from a car that's brand new. It's got lane assist, which every time you're coming out of your lane, it beeps at you and it yanks the steering wheel slightly to keep you in the lane, which is a great feature on the motorway. Perhaps if you've done a long journey and you're a bit tired, then it will keep you in the lane. But you probably shouldn't be driving if you're a bit tired. But if you're on country lanes like I am now, then it's constantly beeping at you because you're on twisty roads. So you can turn it off, which is what I've done. The steering is ever so light on this car. It's a car that if you have an elderly relative who may be driving it and they're not so strong anymore, then they're not going to have any issue turning this wheel. It's very light, so the power steering is very good. The handling is pretty good. It's the suspension is relatively soft, so it means that it soaks up the bumps very well. So it's a nice plush ride. It's not a sports car, it's not a hot hatch, but it's got a little bit of sportiness to it, being the GT Line S. So it has got a little bit of sportiness to it, but it's not a hot hatch. So don't get in it thinking that you're going to be driving a Ford Fiesta ST, because that's not what this car is about. It's more of a family car which has the ability to go a little bit fast if you need it. But that's a nice thing to have, and I always think that if your car's too underpowered, it can actually be a bit dangerous, because it means you can't accelerate to get out of a sticky situation. So this is a perfect car for all-round usability, and it'd be great for ferrying kids around for school runs. It'll be fantastic for shopping because you've got plenty of boot space, which I'll go into in a minute. But it's a really good car and it's very practical. The Kia Ceed is certainly a good looking hatchback. It's not a sports car or a hot hatch, so for a family car this is really good looking, and because this is the GT Line S you get some sportier features like the 18-inch alloy wheels which look fabulous. These ones would be a little bit hard to clean, but I imagine if you're taking the car to a car wash that's probably not a worry of yours. I just had a couple walk past who happen to be Kia owners, and the gentleman said they've owned 4 Kias and they are loyal Kia customers and they've never had an issue with their cars. So that certainly goes to vouch for how good these cars are, and this is my first experience of a Kia, so it was nice to hear it firsthand from a loyal customer who can vouch for how good they are. Kia also gives you a 7-year manufacturer warranty, which is unbelievable. So you've got peace of mind for 7 years, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, I did actually look at buying a Kia Stinger a couple of years ago, and I really wanted to test drive one, but unfortunately they have discontinued that car. So I won't be test driving one from Kia, but they said, why don't you try this car out? So here it is. Arguably, I would say the front of the car is the most attractive angle. It's got some really nice sporty looks, like this aggressive front grille and these nice features here, and the bonnet is a lovely shape. You've got these nice grooves into the bonnet, so that's a very good looking car from the front, but you could also say the same about the back. I think the rear is almost as attractive as the front. The rear lights are a very lovely modern design. You've got the GT Line badging so that you remember you're in a GT Line car, not the standard version. The new Kia badge is a very nice thing. I think it's much nicer than the old badge. You've got this rear sort of lip spoiler, which looks nice and sporty. And on the rear bumper, you've got this sort of fake rear splitter to give it that sporty look, but it's not really so much for actual downforce. And you've also got fake exhaust exits, which is a common occurrence on modern cars, but the actual exhaust exit is actually underneath here. The exhaust itself is a very quiet, subtle exhaust. You can barely hear it. And that's probably what you want from a family car. As you can see, you've got plenty of space in the boot. You've got 395 litres capacity in there with the seats up as they are, but if you fold the seats down, you've got almost 1,300 litres of storage space. So when you're going to the airport to go on holiday, you've got plenty of room for your luggage. The interior is a lovely place to sit. This is the GT Line S, which has the top spec interior. It's got faux leather seats with this black cloth, which are very nice. And looking at reviews from a couple of years ago, the previous models didn't have as nice interior, but this really has been improved and it's a very nice place to be. These seats have got a side bolster, which is a little bit more than the normal versions of the Ceed, and they keep you in place if you're doing some fast cornering. The display is very good. It's got everything you would need, and you can also use Apple Play or Android Auto. But let's turn that radio off before I get copyright strike. But yeah, it's got everything you would need. To be honest, I've not bothered trying out Apple Play, because Apple CarPlay, because well, the standard system is perfectly good enough. You've got a digital dial in the middle, which in my last video I said I don't like digital dials, but it's quite a good one and it suits the car. And when you put the car into sport mode, the dial changes to look more sporty. You get a lot more red and a metallic look to it, which looks really nice. And also this has got a panoramic roof, which is what I've stuck you to. So it's a lovely thing because you can look out. It's tinted, so you're not going to blind yourself, and it does open up as well. So in the summer you could have that open and it would be very nice. Also, you've got down here, it fits my phone perfectly, which is an iPhone 11, a wireless charger, which is fantastic. That is amazing. I'm amazed by that. I don't know why, but that's made my day. You've got this little compartment here which has got a USB port and a USB-C and the usual cigarette lighter, and then you've got your traction control off button, the parking assist and the rear camera button here. It's electric handbrake. You've got this slide back to give you two different size cup holders. You've also got cup holders either side of the doors, which are actually a good size. They can fit my large litre water bottle in there. The JBL speakers are pretty good. There's a nice amount of bass. They're pretty clear. They're not the best speakers I've ever heard, but they are pretty good for the car that it is. On the steering wheel, it's a nice steering wheel. You've got the new Kia logo and it's a nice thing to hold. You've got heated steering wheel, which is fantastic, and heated seats for the front passengers. And let's have a look in the rear. When you get out of the front, the seat moves back slightly to allow you to get out the car. Now, I've left it in that position, so I haven't got that much leg room, but unless you're extremely tall, there will be plenty enough leg room in the rear here. I'm 6'1" and I can fit in perfectly, and my head fits in without touching the ceiling, so that's good. You can fit people in the back who aren't children. You have got a heated seat on either side here, which you've got the button next to the window, which is fantastic. And again, it's a nice place to be. You've got a good view out the panoramic roof, and looking from here, the interior going forward just looks very nice. So this car is a lovely place to be. Another nice feature is if you've got the key in your pocket, as you walk up to the car, the wind mirrors come out, and if you press this button here, it unlocks the car for you, which might seem like, well, why are you telling us about that? But if you have gone into the shops and you've got your hands full of a small amount of shopping and you've not got your hands free, then it's rather hard to get the key out of your pocket to unlock the car. So that makes your life a lot easier. It's got a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder petrol engine, and it produces 158 brake horsepower at 5,500 RPM and 253 newton meters of torque between 1,500 and 3,500 RPM. So this car has got loads of torque low down. So even at 1,500 RPM, it's producing its peak torque, which is remarkable. And that means that this car doesn't have to rev itself out loads, and means that you can do very economic driving around town, which brings me on to the economy. So if you're doing lots of motorway driving, you're going to get 50 mpg and above. If you're driving around town mainly, then it might be more around 40-45 mpg. So this is a pretty economic car. The brakes are very good. They provide plenty of stopping power, and they're not too sensitive to the touch. I drove the new Vauxhall Corsa a couple of years ago, the 2020 model, and the brakes were so sensitive that you even slightly hinted at touching them and it felt like you completely slammed the brakes on, which was quite dangerous, to be honest. But this is perfect, not like that. So the brakes are really good, no issues there. As I said, the car is pretty nippy. Now, it's rather strange to me that the manual version has a faster 0 to 60 time than the DCT version, which DCT is double clutch transmission. And a dual clutch gearbox is meant to be very quick and faster than you could change manually. So the manual gearbox version, they say that the car will do 0 to 60 in 8.4 seconds and the DCT in 8.6, which is, yeah, rather strange to me, but still it's a pretty nippy bit of kit.